Something recently shifted this website in a very big way. Now, this is an example of one of my local lead generation websites, where now that we've seen recent Google updates have been particularly volatile thanks to the Google Spam Brain algorithm, and lots of really good quality websites are actually being hit. I'm advocating a more diversified approach where you can pursue multiple projects at the same time, but minimize the investment in each of them so that if one gets blown up, you can just redirect it and move on to the next one. And it's all about absolute minimum viable input. So you basically find an exact match domain, put basic AI content on it, and then do some simple foundation links, citations, press release, and then a few other steps, all of which are in my popular one-page websites method course. If you're interested in pursuing that, then I'll leave a link below and you can sign up for when we next relaunch it. We've got lots of improvements and expansions coming, but for now, this huge portfolio of websites, each one costing less than $100 to initially build, this has left me with a really good testing ground. And because of that, I'm able to isolate different individual tests to each website. Now, in this case, this was for some building extensions, so generally a very high ticket product, and something seems to have happened in the last week. So it was growing okay around December. It got through the 19th of December update, but then nothing much was happening until around the 14th, 15th of January. And then suddenly, bam, we see this really nice surge up in the ranking keywords, including some in the top 3. And we can see that reflected as well in the intents behind those keywords. So everything has shifted up at once. Now, in this particular website, like I say, I was able to isolate the tests quite closely. The difficulty with SEO is there isn't really such a thing as single variable testing, because even the strategy I employed here, maybe something else was going on. Maybe there was an update, maybe it's just the age of the website or something like that. But generally speaking, we've really limited the input on this site. And in this case, the only thing I was doing to this website around this time period was SEO Neo. Now, I know a lot of you have been waiting patiently for my SEO Neo training. First, we had Christmas in the way, and I had to try and get a call in with Elias to go through my setup. But in the meantime, I've been able to do a lot more testing. And although I've been skeptical for a long time, I am starting to see some really good potential. For instance, the first website I tested out with Neo was another one of my one-page lead generation websites, and that was in the personal injury niche. And in that case, it immediately jumped up to number 3 for a really good car accident attorney keyword. Since that time, it did drop down a bit with the December update, but it's still on page 1. It wasn't completely destroyed. And in the meantime, we've seen lots of other keywords moving up as well. Huge swings in positions, plus 30, plus 47, plus 28. Lots of really good keywords moving up. But like I say, I was skeptical. I was using lots of different methodologies on this website, and it's a new website. It's going to be moving up and down all the time. So actually, in this case, this was particularly compelling, the fact that this was the second time this had happened. So if I go to the calendar view, you can see all these good keywords surging up. None of them on page 1 yet, but nevertheless really good progress, especially for a new website. In this case, it's even ranking on page 2 for extension builders. Not even London extension builders, but just the national keyword extension builders. So that is really promising, position 20. And I haven't touched this website with anything else. In the beginning, I did the citations, I did the press release. It's still just a one-page website, but the difference was SEO Neo. Now, of course, I've received lots of pushback around this is an old 2008 tool, it's not going to work. But one of my favorite things about Neo is it's got the RD100 wizard, which basically means you can build tiered backlinks. So you can take your citations, your press release, and build 100 automated backlinks to each one of them with just the click of a button. Now, does that really work? I'm not too sure, but so far I've got 2 pretty good case studies coming through. But now finally, I've been able to have the sit down with Elias. That's all ready, it's recorded, and this was an hour-and-a-half long discussion, which I've now edited down. I've also condensed all of that into a solid SOP and key takeaways you can get. And we went through my server in great detail, as well as some of Elias's own case studies. And he surprised me with loads of settings I didn't even know about, didn't understand. And so it was after that I went away and implemented that, applied that to one of my websites. And it was this website that was the test once I actually knew what I was doing. But I think one of my favorite takeaways from this call was the way that Elias explained, while loads of automation tools basically use a PBN network, a whole inventory of websites it owns, and builds all the links off of there, SEO Neo uses publicly available websites, so even Tumblr, Medium, Pinterest. It just uses real websites on the internet. A lot of us have the idea of a social fortress, where when you start a business, start a website, you want to go out and create loads of social profiles for it to establish the brand and get a little bit of link juice as well. So everything that Neo is doing is really just that on steroids. Now, I'm still a bit dubious. I wouldn't necessarily build all these links straight to my money site if it was a site I really cared about, but the tiered link building is especially compelling. If you're spending hundreds of dollars to acquire one backlink, why aren't you going to spend a fraction of that just in the off chance you can make that backlink far more powerful. So I will leave a link below. I can now redirect this sign up form to the actual course page now. It's absolutely free. And from that, hopefully you can get a much better idea of how SEO Neo works. So what it's for, where it can be a little bit risky, where it can be really beneficial, how you can package it into your service offering if you're an agency, and of course, how to actually set it up correctly. So the right proxies, the right VPS, all these moving parts where once you've done it, it makes so much more sense and it just runs. But there are plenty of things that surprise me with Elias. He basically 10 times the speed that it runs on my server, thanks to just a few settings I had to change. So you can get all of that for free below. Now it's early days, even in that 1 hour and a half call, we only just touched on the basics of SEO Neo. We didn't get onto the GVP module. So we've already got another call scheduled. So this free training is going to get bigger and bigger. I want to really explore the full possibility of SEO Neo, run many more case studies, get a much more clear idea of what it works best for. And so this free offer is just going to get bigger and bigger with more case studies, more trainings, more tutorials. And at that point, I probably will have to turn it into a paid offering if it really proves to be that valuable. But for now, already a load of value in there and you can get it absolutely free.